There are moments in life when it feels like the world is stacked against us. Every effort we make is met with resistance. Every step forward is pushed 2 steps back. And even the smallest challenges feel overwhelming. In those moments, staying positive doesn't come naturally. It feels forced, almost dishonest. Yet, those are the very moments when positivity is not just helpful, it is necessary. Positivity is not pretending that everything is fine when it clearly isn't. It's not about ignoring pain, setbacks, or difficulties. Positivity is about perspective. It is choosing to believe that there is something beyond the struggle, that there is meaning hidden inside the challenges, and that we are stronger than the storm we're facing. Think of history's most impactful leaders and innovators. None of them achieved greatness without resistance. Every breakthrough was born out of challenge. The difference between those who gave up and those who endured wasn't talent, it wasn't luck. It was their ability to stay grounded in a vision that carried them forward when circumstances seemed unbearable. Staying positive does not mean you never feel frustration or disappointment. It means you allow yourself to feel them, but you don't live inside them. You let the emotions pass through, but you hold on to your purpose. You remind yourself that challenges are not permanent. They are seasons, and like all seasons, they eventually pass. There's also a science to this. Our brains are wired to focus on danger, on what could go wrong. This is a survival instinct, but left unchecked, it traps us in cycles of negativity. When we practice reframing situations, asking ourselves, what can I learn here? Or how might this challenge shape me for the future? We shift our mindset from victimhood to growth. Suddenly, the impossible becomes manageable, and the overwhelming becomes an opportunity to build resilience. But positivity is not just about mindset, it's also about connection. Surrounding ourselves with people who remind us of our strengths, who challenge our doubts, and who encourage us to keep moving is essential. None of us were built to carry life alone. Staying positive in the face of adversity often begins by leaning on those who believe in us when we struggle to believe in ourselves. And here's the truth, staying positive is a discipline, not an accident. It takes intentional daily practice. It could be as simple as journaling 3 things you're grateful for each morning, reminding yourself of your why before beginning a difficult day, or taking time to breathe when chaos surrounds you. Small, consistent acts of positivity create the foundation for resilience. At the end of the day, positivity is not about denying reality. It's about choosing the courage to see beyond it. When everything feels against you, positivity is the reminder that the story isn't finished yet. The challenge you face today might just be the very lesson that equips you for the breakthrough of tomorrow. 5 keynotes of the speech: positivity is not denial. It is perspective, the ability to see meaning and possibility even in difficulty. Great achievements often emerge from resistance, and resilience is the bridge between struggle and success. Emotions like frustration and disappointment are natural, but positivity means not living inside them. Reframing challenges as opportunities for growth shifts us from victimhood to empowerment. Staying positive is a discipline built through daily practices and supported by strong connections with others. Positivity is often misunderstood as a superficial smile, a forced optimism, or a denial of reality. Many people think that being positive means ignoring the difficulties, pretending that life is perfect, or suppressing negative emotions. But true positivity is far more nuanced and far more powerful than that. At its core, positivity is a perspective. It is the conscious choice to see possibilities, opportunities, and meaning, even in situations that are challenging, uncomfortable, or seemingly impossible. It is the recognition that while we cannot always control external circumstances, we can control how we interpret them and how we respond to them. This perspective does not erase the reality of struggle, but it allows us to interact with that reality in a way that empowers rather than diminishes us. It creates a mental environment where solutions, creativity, and resilience can flourish. When everything seems to be going against us, our natural tendency is to focus on the negatives. Our minds are wired to notice threats, losses, and failures because evolutionarily helped us survive. But this survival mechanism, when unchecked, can trap us in cycles of despair, anxiety, and frustration. The lens through which we view life has an enormous impact on how life affects us. Positivity as a perspective means intentionally adjusting that lens. It means shifting focus from what is going wrong to what is possible, from what is lost to what can be learned, from obstacles to opportunities. This shift does not minimize the hardship we face. It simply expands our awareness to include hope, potential, and possibility alongside difficulty. It is the practice of seeing the full spectrum of reality rather than only the painful or discouraging aspects. One of the most critical aspects of adopting this perspective is understanding the role of meaning. When challenges arise, it is easy to see them as random, unfair, or purely negative. But finding meaning in adversity transforms our experience. Meaning does not always come immediately. Often it emerges as we reflect, adapt, and persist. When we approach difficulties with the mindset that each challenge holds a lesson, a growth opportunity, or a path toward a larger goal, we are practicing true positivity. We are acknowledging reality while simultaneously refusing to let reality dictate our emotional state entirely. This perspective shifts our attention from what is outside our control to what we can influence: our thoughts, our actions, and our attitudes. Positivity as perspective also influences the way we interact with others. When we are facing challenges, it can be tempting to withdraw, blame, or criticize, but a positive perspective encourages connection, empathy, and collaboration. By seeing possibility and meaning, We are more likely to approach problems creatively, communicate constructively, and inspire others to persist. Positivity is contagious. It spreads through the energy we project and the way we frame situations. When we choose to see possibilities rather than solely focusing on what is going wrong, we not only help ourselves, but also create an environment where others can thrive and solutions can emerge. Importantly, maintaining this perspective is not about being passive. Positivity does not mean waiting for circumstances to improve on their own or ignoring problems until they go away. It is an active, deliberate approach to life. It requires self-awareness, discipline, and practice. Every day, we are faced with hundreds of choices about where to focus our attention and how to interpret events. By consistently choosing to focus on possibilities, growth, and meaning, we are exercising the muscles of resilience and optimism. These choices compound over time, creating a mindset that can withstand setbacks and even thrive amidst adversity. In essence, positivity as perspective is a strategic decision to navigate life with clarity, purpose, and hope. The power of this perspective becomes particularly evident when we examine those who have achieved extraordinary results despite immense challenges. These individuals do not succeed because they are immune to difficulties. They succeed because they see opportunity where others see defeat. They understand that setbacks are part of the journey, that obstacles are not indicators of failure, and that every difficulty contains lessons that can propel them forward. This is the essence of positivity as a perspective. It is not a denial of reality, but a conscious commitment to approach reality in a way that expands possibilities rather than limits them. It allows us to persist, adapt, and create in the face of opposition. It reminds us that no matter how dire circumstances may appear, our outlook has the power to shape our experience and influence the outcomes we ultimately achieve. Positivity, therefore, is not a passive or accidental state. It is a deliberate choice to frame life through a lens that sees meaning, opportunity, and growth. It is about recognizing that challenges exist, but refusing to be defined or defeated by them. By practicing this perspective consistently, we equip ourselves to navigate life with resilience, clarity, and courage, even when everything seems to be against us. Great achievements rarely come without resistance. History is full of stories where individuals faced immense obstacles, overwhelming odds, and repeated failures before they finally succeeded. Yet, the common thread among those who achieved extraordinary results is not mere talent or luck. It is resilience, the ability to persist when the world seems to be against them. Resilience is not a trait one is born with. It is a skill cultivated over time through experience, mindset, and deliberate action. When everything feels opposed, the ability to keep moving forward, to endure discomfort, and to maintain focus on a vision separates those who give up from those who transform their challenges into opportunities. Resistance is often seen as a barrier, something to be avoided or eliminated. Yet resistance has a hidden purpose. It is a measure of growth. Every challenge, setback, or failure is a signal that we are stretching beyond our current limits. It forces us to confront our weaknesses, sharpen our skills, and develop strategies we might never have discovered in moments of ease. Those who succeed understand that resistance is not a permanent wall, but a stepping stone. It is not meant to break us. It is meant to teach us how to rise, adapt, and persist. The way we respond to resistance defines the trajectory of our growth and the scale of our achievements. When we encounter difficulties, it is natural to feel frustration, fear, or doubt. These emotions are not weaknesses, they are signals. They tell us that we are in the process of change, that we are stretching beyond comfort, and that we are confronting the unknown. The key is not to eliminate these feelings, but to use them as fuel. Resilience involves acknowledging the discomfort while refusing to let it dictate our actions. It is about taking one step forward even when the path is unclear, about maintaining faith in the process even when immediate results are absent. This mindset transforms obstacles from threats into opportunities to strengthen our character and skills. Another aspect of enduring resistance is the understanding that setbacks are not personal failures. They are part of a larger journey. Most successful individuals did not achieve their goals in a straight line. They faced criticism, rejection, and repeated disappointments. What distinguished them was their refusal to internalize failure as a reflection of their worth or capability. They treated each setback as feedback, as information that could guide the next step. This approach transforms resistance from an enemy into a teacher, allowing individuals to continuously adjust, improve, and refine their strategies. Persistence in the face of adversity also builds confidence. Each time we overcome a challenge, we expand our sense of possibility. We realize that we are capable of more than we initially believed, and this belief becomes self-reinforcing. Resistance, when met with resilience, becomes evidence of our growth. It shows us that challenges are not indicators of our limitations, but opportunities to demonstrate strength, creativity, and determination. Over time, this repeated practice of confronting obstacles strengthens not only our abilities, but also our mindset, creating a foundation for future success that is less vulnerable to fear or self-doubt. The environments we navigate also shape how we respond to resistance. Surrounding ourselves with people who support our goals, who encourage perseverance, and who model resilience can profoundly influence our ability to endure challenges. Collaboration, mentorship, and encouragement provide guidance and perspective when the weight of resistance feels overwhelming. Additionally, developing habits of reflection, planning, and self-care equips us to approach obstacles strategically rather than reactively. Resilience is both mental and practical. It requires emotional fortitude, but also preparation and skillful execution. Ultimately, Achieving greatness in the face of resistance is about mindset. It is about seeing obstacles not as proof that the task is impossible, but as proof that growth is occurring. It is about understanding that difficulty is temporary and that every challenge carries the potential to teach, strengthen, and propel us forward. Those who succeed are not those who encounter fewer obstacles, but those who meet resistance with persistence, courage, and adaptability. They understand that resistance is a natural part of any meaningful pursuit, and they embrace it as an essential component of progress. By reframing resistance as a stepping stone rather than a stumbling block, we cultivate resilience, expand our capabilities, and create a path toward achievement that is grounded not in luck, but in deliberate perseverance. The most remarkable accomplishments are rarely the result of smooth, obstacle-free journeys. They are forged in the heat of resistance, refined by struggle, and realized through the unwavering commitment to keep moving forward, no matter how many challenges arise. Experiencing frustration, disappointment, or negative emotions is an inevitable part of life. No matter how well we plan, how disciplined we are, or how resilient we try to be, setbacks and challenges will come. The key is not to eliminate these feelings entirely, because that is impossible, but to develop the ability to acknowledge them without letting them define our experience or dictate our actions. Staying positive in the face of adversity does not mean living in a state of constant cheerfulness. It means maintaining a sense of balance, clarity, and perspective even when emotions run high, and refusing to allow temporary setbacks to control our long-term trajectory. Emotions, in many ways, are signals. They inform us about our environment, our expectations, and our values. Frustration, for example, indicates that something we care about is not proceeding as we hoped. Disappointment shows us that our expectations and reality are misaligned. These emotions are not inherently negative. They are natural human responses that, when understood and managed, can guide our decisions, sharpen our focus, and even inspire creativity. The challenge lies in how we respond to these feelings. Reacting impulsively, dwelling on failure, or internalizing negativity can amplify setbacks and hinder progress. Positivity, in contrast, involves the conscious choice to experience emotions fully but to move forward with intention despite them. Maintaining this mindset requires self-awareness. Recognizing when negative emotions arise and understanding their origin allows us to step back and evaluate the situation more objectively. It helps us ask the right questions. What can I learn from this? What is within my control? How can I adjust my approach to navigate this challenge effectively? By reframing the situation, we shift from being passive victims of circumstance to active participants in shaping our outcomes. This is the essence of resilience: acknowledging reality, processing emotions, and choosing to respond in a way that aligns with our goals and values rather than succumbing to despair. Another critical element is the ability to separate our identity from our setbacks. Failure, rejection, and disappointment do not define who we are. They are events that occur within our lives. When we internalize challenges as personal shortcomings, we limit our capacity for growth. Positivity allows us to recognize that while the situation may be unfavorable, our character, abilities, and potential remain intact. This perspective fosters courage, empowering us to continue pursuing goals even in the presence of repeated setbacks. It creates a mental buffer that protects our self-esteem and reinforces our sense of agency, which is essential for sustained effort and long-term success. Practicing gratitude is a practical way to strengthen this mindset. By intentionally focusing on aspects of life that are positive, meaningful, or progressing well, we train our brains to recognize not only the challenges, but also the opportunities and resources available to us. This does not ignore the difficulties we face. It simply ensures that we maintain a balanced perspective, seeing both obstacles and possibilities. Over time, gratitude and positive focus become habits, and these habits fundamentally alter how we process stress and respond to adversity. Connection with others also plays a vital role. When we feel frustrated or disappointed, sharing our experiences with trusted friends, mentors, or colleagues provides perspective, encouragement, and guidance. External support can validate our emotions, helping us process them without becoming overwhelmed. It can also offer insights and solutions we might not see when we are consumed by our own struggles. Positivity, therefore, is not only an internal practice, but also a relational one. It thrives in an environment of support, collaboration, and mutual encouragement. Finally, maintaining positivity in the face of challenging emotions requires discipline and consistency. It involves daily practices such as reflection, mindfulness, journaling, or goal setting that reinforce our ability to process emotions without being controlled by them. These practices strengthen our mental resilience, ensuring that when adversity strikes, we have the tools to respond effectively rather than react impulsively. Positivity becomes less about denying reality and more about intentionally navigating it with clarity, focus, and purpose. In essence, staying positive when facing frustration, disappointment, or negative emotions is about balance. It is about feeling fully without surrendering control, learning from setbacks without letting them define us, and maintaining focus on our long-term vision despite temporary obstacles. By practicing this approach consistently, we transform challenges from sources of discouragement into opportunities for growth, resilience, and eventual success. It is the conscious decision to not be held hostage by circumstance, but to move forward with purpose, clarity, and hope even when the path is difficult. Reframing challenges as opportunities for growth is one of the most powerful tools we can develop when facing adversity. Life will inevitably present us with situations that feel overwhelming, unfair, or impossible to overcome. In those moments, the way we interpret events can either imprison us in negativity or propel us toward progress. The ability to shift perspective, to see obstacles not as dead ends, but as lessons and stepping stones, is central to resilience and long-term success. This mindset does not deny difficulty or diminish pain. It simply changes how we interact with reality, allowing us to extract meaning and potential from experiences that might otherwise leave us feeling defeated. The process of reframing begins with awareness. Most of the time, we respond to challenges automatically, reacting from habit or emotion. Frustration, fear, and anger dominate our thoughts, and our focus narrows solely to what is going wrong. Reframing requires pausing and consciously asking ourselves questions that encourage perspective and insight. Questions like, what can I learn from this situation? Or how might this challenge make me stronger? Shift our attention from the problem itself to the possibilities embedded within it. By doing so, we move from being passive victims to active participants in our own growth, taking responsibility for how we respond to circumstances instead of being controlled by them. This mindset also involves understanding that discomfort is a necessary part of growth. Challenges, setbacks, and failures are not signs that we are incapable. They are evidence that we are stretching, learning, and evolving. When we embrace this truth, we begin to see resistance as a natural, even essential part of progress. Each obstacle becomes a feedback mechanism, revealing weaknesses to address, skills to improve, and strategies to refine. Reframing transforms what initially seems like a roadblock into a map for personal development, highlighting areas where attention, effort, and creativity can produce meaningful change. Adopting this perspective requires intentionality and discipline. Our brains are naturally wired to focus on threats, problems, and what might go wrong. Left unchecked, this survival-oriented focus can trap us in cycles of negativity. Reframing challenges is an active mental exercise that retrains the brain to notice not only difficulties, but also possibilities. It is about consciously looking for the lessons, opportunities, and hidden advantages in situations where our instinct might be to panic, complain, or give up. Over time, this practice strengthens cognitive flexibility, the ability to approach problems from multiple angles, and resilience, the capacity to endure setbacks without losing momentum. Another important dimension of reframing is the role of language. The words we use to describe our experiences influence how we perceive them. Describing a setback as a failure versus a lesson fundamentally changes our emotional and cognitive response. By choosing language that emphasizes learning, growth, and potential, we shape a mindset that is forward, looking rather than trapped in regret or frustration. The narratives we tell ourselves about challenges determine whether those experiences become sources of empowerment or chains of limitation. Reframing also fosters creativity and problem solving. When we see challenges as opportunities, we are more likely to explore alternative approaches, innovate solutions, and experiment with strategies that we might not consider if we were focused solely on obstacles. This approach transforms adversity from a point of stress into a catalyst for discovery and progress. By approaching problems with curiosity and openness rather than fear or avoidance, we expand our options and increase our capacity to achieve meaningful outcomes. Importantly, reframing does not mean ignoring the emotional weight of a challenge. It is not about suppressing disappointment, frustration, or fear. Instead, it involves acknowledging those emotions fully and then choosing to interpret the situation in a way that empowers action. This distinction is critical because it allows us to be authentic and emotionally honest while maintaining agency over how we respond. By integrating emotional awareness with constructive interpretation, we cultivate a mindset that is both resilient and adaptable, capable of navigating adversity without being overwhelmed by it. Ultimately, reframing challenges as opportunities for growth is a skill that transforms the way we live, work, and relate to the world. It turns setbacks into lessons, obstacles into guides, and adversity into a platform for development. The challenges we face are not simply problems to endure, they are invitations to evolve, to expand our capabilities, and to demonstrate courage, creativity, and determination. By consistently practicing this mindset, we create a mental framework that allows us to respond to life's difficulties with clarity, purpose, and optimism, ensuring that every challenge contributes to our personal and professional growth rather than detracting from it. Staying positive is not just a mindset, it is a discipline. It requires intentional daily practice, deliberate habits, and consistent effort to cultivate resilience and maintain focus when life feels challenging. Positivity does not happen by accident. It is a choice we make repeatedly, often in small ways, that compounds over time into a powerful force capable of sustaining us through adversity. The practice of positivity is like building a muscle. The more we exercise it, the stronger it becomes, and the better equipped we are to face the inevitable obstacles that life presents. One of the foundational elements of this discipline is self-awareness. To practice positivity effectively, we must first understand our thoughts, emotions, and reactions. We need to recognize when negative thinking is taking over and be willing to intervene before it becomes a habit. This involves noticing patterns of self-doubt, pessimism, or fear and choosing consciously to redirect our focus toward constructive and empowering perspectives. Self-awareness allows us to catch ourselves in moments of despair or frustration and to remind ourselves that our mindset is not fixed, it is flexible, and we have the power to shape it intentionally. Daily rituals and practices play a crucial role in reinforcing positivity. Simple actions, when done consistently, have profound effects on our mental state. Journaling about gratitude, reflecting on personal strengths, or visualizing future success are all practices that train our minds to notice opportunities rather than problems. Starting each day by identifying even small things we appreciate creates a lens of possibility that influences how we approach challenges throughout the day. These practices do not eliminate difficulty, but they prepare us to respond to it with clarity, composure, and resilience. Another essential aspect of practicing positivity is maintaining focus on purpose. When life feels overwhelming, having a clear why provides a sense of direction and motivation. Understanding the reasons behind our actions and the values that guide us anchors us during periods of stress and uncertainty. Positivity thrives when we are connected to something meaningful, when we know that our efforts, even in the face of adversity, are contributing to a larger goal. This sense of purpose allows us to persevere because we are not responding solely to immediate circumstances. We are acting in alignment with our long-term vision. Equally important is the conscious management of our environment. The people, information, and influences we surround ourselves with shape our thoughts and emotions. Being intentional about whom we spend time with, what media we consume, and the messages we allow into our minds can reinforce or undermine our ability to remain positive. Supportive relationships, encouraging mentors, and uplifting communities provide validation, guidance, and inspiration that help sustain positivity. Conversely, constant exposure to negativity, criticism, or toxic influences can erode our mindset and make it difficult to maintain optimism even when we are committed to it. Positivity also requires action. Thoughts alone are insufficient. They must be accompanied by behaviors that reinforce and express optimism and resilience. Taking small, deliberate steps forward in the face of challenges communicates to ourselves and others that we are capable of progress no matter the obstacles. Even minor achievements can boost confidence and momentum, strengthening the belief that circumstances, while difficult, are not permanent and that meaningful progress is possible. Action transforms mindset from passive hope into active engagement, creating tangible proof that positivity produces results. Mindfulness and reflection are additional tools for cultivating the discipline of positivity. By pausing to observe our thoughts and emotions without judgment, we can disentangle ourselves from reactive patterns and choose intentional responses. Reflection allows us to learn from setbacks, celebrate small victories, and adjust strategies in a thoughtful way rather than responding impulsively. These practices reinforce the connection between mindset, behavior, and outcome, creating a feedback loop that enhances resilience and emotional intelligence. Ultimately, practicing positivity as a discipline is about consistency and commitment. It is the repeated, deliberate choice to focus on what can be controlled, to cultivate hope in the face of uncertainty, and to nurture the mental and emotional habits that sustain us during challenges. It is about understanding that life will inevitably present obstacles, but that through intentional practice, preparation, and action, we can maintain clarity, strength, and focus. Positivity, cultivated as a daily discipline, becomes not just a way of thinking, but a way of living, equipping us to navigate adversity with courage, determination, and unwavering resilience. In the end, staying positive when everything feels against us is not about ignoring reality or pretending life is easy. It is about choice, perspective, and deliberate action. It is about seeing meaning in challenges, embracing resistance as a teacher, acknowledging emotions without being controlled by them, reframing obstacles as opportunities, and cultivating daily habits that strengthen resilience. Positivity is not passive, it is active, intentional, and empowering. It allows us to navigate adversity with clarity, courage, and purpose. When we practice it consistently, we transform setbacks into lessons, difficulties into growth, and challenges into stepping stones toward a future defined not by what happened to us, but by how we responded. No matter how heavy the weight of opposition, positivity equips us to rise, adapt, and continue moving forward, proving that even in the darkest moments, our mindset has the power to shape the story of our lives.